So Chris speaks here today with two-term Secretary of State John Merrill, who's finishing up his last term. I want to come in and ask him some stuff about the Secretary of State's job. John, thanks for giving me this opportunity, and pleasure to meet you.
Well, I'm delighted to visit with you today, Chris, and thanks for coming back.
All right. So you've been probably one of the most out-front Secretary of States that we've ever seen as far as making sure ballots and our election has been secure. Is that something that's always been important to you, or is that why you got in?
It is. It was something I wanted to do since I was 14 years old. I started working toward that goal when I was 14 to have the privilege to offer myself for consideration for the voters of the state to allow me to be their selection as a candidate for the office of Secretary of State.
Excuse me. Back, we fear voter fraud every election. Voter fraud. How hard would that be to pull up to steal an election?
Well, we have had since I became the secretary, which was January 19, 2015, until today, and that is 7 years, 4 months, and 21 days. We have had 7 convictions on voter fraud. We've had 2 elections overturned. We had 1 elected official removed for corruption related to voter fraud.
Wow. So I remember a few years ago, I believe it was during the Roy Moore race, there was in Luther Strange, there was a warning given out to Democrats to not cross over this vote.
That was in 2017, after we had passed the primary vote law in the 17 legislative session, which indicated that that was against the law. Now, before it had just been against party practice, and then it was against the law.
You think it should stay against the law, or do you think we should vote?
Well, I'm not a member of the legislature. I'm the chief election official, so my job is to enforce the laws passed by the legislature, and that's what we did.
Okay. How hard would it be to catch somebody from crossing over?
Oh, it's very easy, because we have a list of people that voted in the primary, and then we have a list of people that voted in the runoff. And if people voted in the primary and they voted in a different party in the runoff, which is very easy to check, then it's easy to identify, investigate, and then to make sure that we prosecute those people.
What is the sentence for somebody getting convicted of that?
Well, I can't tell you off the top of my head because I don't know what offense that is, but they would be charged with crime according to the code.
Okay. If we had any instances in the past of major voter fraud in Alabama?
Well, there have been people who've been incarcerated because of voter fraud. And of course, I just mentioned the ones that we have had put in jail since I've been secretary. Before I became secretary, it had been more than 10 years since one had been indicted on a voter fraud issue and prosecuted for voter fraud.
Back in that, I noticed one for a time, that Woodward-Hale race in Jefferson County, but there was all kind of stuff that went on that. There should have been some people go to jail from that.
Well, that was some 20 plus years ago, but one of the things that Mike Hale did was to change parties, and when he changed parties, then he was able to get elected, and then was able to hold that position until 2018. He was defeated for his 5th term.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot he switched parties there, because I remember in the 98 race, it was just it was very close. And I remember reading them going into nursing homes and having older people sign absentee ballots, and it was just it was low down.
It was certainly a very difficult time for a lot of people that were involved in the administration of the election. Of course, I was not then. I was not even in the legislature, but I just remember watching the news.
Now, back in 2002, I guess this is what got the law passed. When Governor Seaman lost by 2,500 votes or something, and they made that 1% automatic recount. People are, to me, still going to claim to me that Baldwin County was stolen, and I tried to tell them Lucy Baxley was the most popular politician. She got 58% of the vote. She lost it by 6,000 votes. Governor, that was just a mistake that was made. Governor Siegelman did not win Baldwin County by 6,000 votes.
No, he did not win Baldwin County.
And I mean, no matter what they say about that, it was just a mistake that was made. Even with these automatic recounts, do you think there's any possible chance one could be that far off?
Well, the only thing that I know is the history that we've had with recounts. In 2010, Tim James finished in third place behind Bradley Bond, who led. Robert Merrill was in second place. Tim was in third place outside the runoff by 167 votes. So he wanted to challenge it, and he did. He paid $1 million for a statewide recount. They did a statewide recount. Instead of losing by 167 votes, he lost by 168 votes.
So they missed one vote on there. I've had people come and tell me they can reset the machines and do this. I'm like, well, every time I go to vote, there's somebody there standing by the machine, marking my name off. I just don't see how it's possible to steal an election.
It's one thing to operate in a world of theory. It's another thing to operate in a world of fact. And unfortunately, too many people have been watching too much TV and too many stories on the internet instead of paying attention to what the facts are. Machines can be programmed to do anything, but once those machines have been programmed to count votes in a particular way, that's the way they're going to do it. And that's a public event when those machines are tested and when they're proven to have the information that is put in them. They retain that information and then it's shared whenever the reports are given on election night.
Okay. Is there a voter ID law on the books?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We passed that law in 2011, requiring all voters to have a form of ID. There's more than 10 different forms of identification that can be used to allow you to be an eligible voter if you meet the criteria in your state, which means that you're at least 18 years of age, you're a United States citizen, you're a resident of Alabama, you've not been convicted of a disqualified felony.
Now, what exactly is, because I was having this conversation, what is considered a disqualifying felony?
Well, we passed a law in 2017 that actually identified what those 47 different laws were, that if you broke those, you would not be eligible to vote, because those are crimes of moral turpitude.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I looked them up not too long ago for the real estate license thing. This Senate race going on with Tom Whatley, I believe. What's going to happen with that?
Well, it's difficult to say. Senator Whatley was going to ask for a recount. They dropped the recount and they simply asked for a contest to be heard, and that's scheduled to be heard by the State Republican Steering Committee on the 25th of June.
So he's contesting the results?
I'm not sure what the contest is. I've not seen the contest that's handled by the State Republican Party.
It was one vote, and like you said with Tim James, it was like, makes sense to me that you asked for the recount. I mean, of course, I don't know. Well, that's an interesting question, though. What if they did a recount and it was tied? How would you go about that?
Well, then the Code of Alabama says that if there is a tie, after all votes have been cast and certified, then you have a game of chance to decide who the winner would be. So in most instances, that's been done by a coin.
Has that happened before?
It happened with the sheriff's race in Clay County in 2018.
Really? They flipped the coin to see who won?
That's correct.
Wow.
It also happened in a school board race in Houston County in 2020.
That is amazing. I must have missed that somehow. The flip of a coin decided the race. That goes to show that everyone's votes counts. I voted for in the past. I voted for a third-party candidate. I remember in 2008, 2012, I voted for Ron Paul. And people told me I was wasting my vote, and I said, no, I didn't. The only time you waste your vote is when you don't cast it.
That's correct.
And I've thought of so many ways to get other voters out. To me, the greatest untapped resource is 18 to 24-year-olds. I don't know what the answer is, but I mean, I think I would be holding.
Well, they have to be motivated to vote. They have to feel like their vote is going to count and going to make a difference and make an impact. And the best way to do that is by being excited and enthusiastic about your candidate.
And some people said, well, it has to be a young candidate or whatever. No, that was evident with Bernie Sanders. I mean, you had a 75-year-old man, and all these 18-year-old kids were flocking to him because they believed in his message.
That's correct.
I think, again, I'm not an expert on it, but just a novice, those are just the things that I see. Got some interesting runoffs coming up. What percentage of the turnout do you expect to be in those votes?
I think we'll be somewhere between 10 and 15%.
I was surprised, I think, how low the turnout in Jefferson County is. Do you expect other counties to maybe have a rise in votes?
Well, people vote when it's important to them in their communities, and I think one of the things that you'll see is that in the areas that don't have local races, you're going to have less turnout than you had in the primary. And whenever that occurs, then it's going to reduce the overall turnout.
Yeah, because all politics are local.
That's right.
Yeah, I've talked to several candidates about that. I said, spend time knocking on doors and doing retail politics, and cause I think that's a lot stronger sometimes to speak in front of 20 people. I've tried to, I think that one thing I've worked on here a lot is Skype calls and YouTube calls. I've seen that there's a way to challenge people who can outspend you just by using social media like that and those kind of channels, and you can reach voters. Whereas, like on TV, they may turn the radio off. If you got a 30-second ad that somebody pastes on your wall on YouTube, well, they may watch that. Do you have any thoughts on that type of thing?
No, I do think that social media has changed the political landscape and made it a lot easier for lower and not well-funded candidates to have the potential to be more effective in their candidacies.
I've had several people reach out to me, and one guy was a very nice guy, Don. He ran for state senate seat, and he asked me would I conduct something on his campaign. I said, well, absolutely, because when I first started this, a lot of people wouldn't talk to me. So anybody who's not well known, I try to talk to them and help them out, because I hate to see them just totally ignored. And there's a lot of them were the libertarians who seemed like 69 people, I believe, made it on the ballot.
Yeah, they had a number of candidates that were fielded in a vast variety of offices, from the United States Senate down to some local positions, including the legislature, other constitutional positions.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, Jimmy Blake is running for governor.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, I remember when he ran for senator one time. Do you ever think...
and John Sophocles is the candidate for the United States Senate.
Oh, I remember Sophocles. I think he ran against Siegelman and Riley, I think.
That's correct, in 2000.
Hey, sorry I had problems with the camera and the video cut out, but I did ask John one more question. Alabama seen the last of John Merrill, and he laughed and said, well, I've got to come to work tomorrow. It was a great interview, and enjoyed having lunch with him, and hope to do it again soon.